Okay, so we're going to continue on with our learning here for AI, and this time what we're going to basically do is we're going to take the first example that we did and the first video that we did about using Ollama in the local LLM in Docker itself, and we're going to extend it this time. And I've just kind of updated the Docker compose file here a little bit just to kind of mark it as version 2 for this. So we'll create a same version 2 folder that we're basically going to keep our Docker compose in. So this will be the open web, and it'll include a new service called OpenWebUI. And if you search what actually is OpenWebUI, you can see here that basically what it says is it's an open source self-hosted web interface dashboard for interacting with large language models. And here's a breakdown of what it does. But basically it provides a graphical user interface that you can actually interact this time with your LLMs instead of using the command line tools that we did the last time. So there's not too much of a difference, you know, between what we did last time and what we're doing this time. Basically the Ollama is exactly the same, and we've just kind of added a new service in here called OpenWebUI, which I'll basically pull in this image here. So this is the repository of the image. This is going to be the container name for the OpenWebUI, and we just have to kind of set one or two different you know, environment and ports for the OpenWebUI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that folder now, and I'm going to run my Docker compose up, and it's basically going to start pulling down the images for OpenWebUI and Ollama, and making sure that I basically have everything. So while that's actually kind of going on, what I'm going to just sort of say to you is that, you know, we're going to build up this series as we go along. So if you haven't seen the previous video, please have a look. So they're going to kind of build on each other, the videos. I'm going to try and make them as, you know, let's say independent as possible. But sometimes there will be a bit of kind of, you know, overlap between the videos, but we'll kind of try our best to make sure that we kind of, you know, give somebody a good grounding and understanding of LLMs and how to use them, how to work with them on a daily basis. And the videos will get a little bit more, let's say, complicated, you know, but this is really about just kind of trying to make sure that you actually kind of have everything set up initially at the start, just to see if you can actually run. And you'll remember that last time we basically ran, you know, this version 1, the Ollama local LLM Docker in our command line, and yes, absolutely it will run there. But this, you know, OpenWebUI will basically give it a graphical user interface which we can, you know, interact maybe a little bit easier. So I'm going to wait for this to come down, and then I'm going to come back to the video. Okay, so everything has basically been pulled down. So you can see my OpenWebUI has actually been pulled down. You can see the networking has started, the volume has started, the containers. So I've got kind of two containers, one for Ollama and one for OpenWebUI, and they've all been created and they've all been started. So it basically means that what I should be able to do is kind of go back to my notes now, and if we kind of go down, where you'll sort of see that Ollama still runs on port 11434. So when it's kind of running there, you would be, you know, interacting with the actual Ollama interface. So what I'll do is I will go and I will open that in the browser. I'm going to just going to copy this, and I'm going to just open it kind of here beside. Okay, so I'm going to put that as 11434. Okay, so you can basically sort of see that in this case, here you can sort of see that the Ollama is actually running. So what I need to actually do is I need to make sure now that my user interface is actually running. But let's sort of see if we've actually any models running from the last time, and see if we can reuse those models first of all. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my command line here, and I've just run this command here to list out my models. So again, you know, this time I'm just using, you know, a second container here for Ollama, but Ollama list is basically saying that I actually don't have any models here. So what I'm going to do is, same as we did the last time, we need to kind of pull down a small model. So this time I'm going to kind of go and I'm going to pull down Tiny Llama, and let's sort of see. We're just going to pull this down quite quickly. Again, this is something that a lot of kind of students and data science students use, just for kind of initial testing of something very, very small. Okay, so that's come down, and now if I run my command again to list out my models, I should see that I actually have Tiny Llama there. So you can sort of see it's from 8 seconds ago, and you can sort of see the size here. It's 637 meg, which is not too big for a model. So now what I can do is I can go back to my notes, and if I was to interact with this now, so if I kind of take notes from here, so if I was to run Tiny Llama here, so and again I'm running this in the second container here, so I've moved over to my second container here. But if I kind of do this here and sort of see who are you, so if I type in something, okay, I'm AI, okay. So you can sort of see that right now I'm actually interfacing with the actual LLM here, and it's a tiny LLM, but I'm interfacing with it there very, very, successfully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now sort of see if I can open my new user interface, which should open here. Okay, so I've just gone to my Docker desktop, and I've opened this link here, this URL here called localhost 3000. And what it's done is it's brought me over to this page, and I'm going to show you this page now. And basically, what's going to change from the last time that I actually did this was it was more of a kind of let's just say unprofessional type of web OpenWebUI page that just it just opened up. This time I had to kind of authenticate in the sense where I just actually had to kind of log in and create a kind of username and password. So if it kind of opens, just say open and create your username and password, and you can see I've done this here. So now it's actually opening for me. Now watch this. If I kind of so now I have my UI, right? So before I actually had to kind of do it here, kind of in the command line, but now I actually have a UI, and as you can sort of see, watch this. So right now I don't have any models selected. So again, this is kind of different from the last time I did this, but if I kind of send a message now, it says model not selected. Okay, so what I sort of see here is if I kind of go in here, I can actually see that I actually have my Tiny Llama latest model here, and I can kind of set that as the default now. And if I test again here, you can sort of see now that you're actually kind of getting the interaction with the LLM, and that's really kind of cool, because it kind of just there's tools that we kind of get into for UI and kind of creating basic kind of tools and everything, but this just becomes a little bit more kind of of a more professional capacity if you kind of had to present this to somebody. Now if you actually if you actually had a different model here, you could actually kind of switch this model out. You could kind of switch this out, and you could kind of change the model, and then you could kind of test a different model. So it depends again on your kind of requirements of what you're needing to do and what you're looking to do, basically to kind of test these types of models. But this version here is just a nice version with OpenWebUI, because now you actually have a user interface that you can kind of allow you to test it.